Okay, I got a question for all of you. Was this the best weekend ever in sports history? No, of course it wasn't. That would be when this happened.
Number 4 for the United States. Lennon sends it in. The header, and that's into the back of the net. The United States strikes, and it's the father.
Though it is an interesting question, and I guess it all depends on your perspective. Kind of like how the weekend and rewind depends on my perspective. And it's a perspective that I hope you agree with, because I like when people agree with me because it validates me as a person. And no, that was a joke. You should never, ever go on the internet to look for validation. That is a nowhere road and a much bigger conversation for another day, because it's go time. Good weekend, Michy Batshuayi. The new Borussia Dortmund striker, who never looked comfortable or confident playing under Antonio Conte at Chelsea, scored 2 goals on his Bundesliga debut for the Black and Yellow, which helped the German club secure their first league win in weeks, and I'm sure it helped soften the blow from them losing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to Arsenal. And then on a personal level, I really feel like it was Batshuayi's way of giving the middle finger to his old manager, especially after he watched them lose midweek 3-0 to Bournemouth at home, which we didn't get a chance to talk about. But come on, Chelsea, what is going on with you guys? Well, it also proved that Batshuayi can handle some adversity in a positive way, and I like that trait in players. Bad weekend, me. Because I said I was going to be Wenger out if the longtime manager of Arsenal didn't start Alexander Lacazette and Aubameyang together up top against Everton, and he didn't. And much to my chagrin, it worked perfectly. Aubameyang started, Lacazette was on the bench, and the Gunners were up 4-0 after 40 minutes, with Aubameyang getting his first goal for the club in what ended up as a 5-1 rout over the Toffees. Everton, what happened? You guys totally sandbagged it. However, the real star of the show was not Aaron Ramsey and his hat trick, or Aubameyang and his debut goal and his ability to stretch the defense with his runs in behind, which I think Arsenal has been missing for quite some time, but Henrik Mkhitaryan, who looks rejuvenated by playing with a team that actually likes to keep the ball, unlike his time at Manchester United under Jose Mourinho, as evidenced by him having 3 high-quality assists, which means I fully expect him to continue to flourish in this system. So this is me apologizing to Arsene Wenger for now, because we'll see how they do in the North London derby next week against Spurs. Good weekend, bad weekend. Victor Wanyama and Mohamed Salah. The good, the Spurs midfielder who had only come into the Liverpool-Tottenham game a minute earlier as a sub for Moussa Dembele scored one of the best goals in the league this season, if not the best. Well, that was before the Premier League's best player this season, Mohamed Salah. And yes, I said it, he should be the player of the year. And I don't care how many goals Harry Kane scores, maybe scored an even better one with his mazy run through a ton of defenders to give the Reds the lead at the end of the game. The bad? The referees got way too involved by calling penalties that should not have been called, in my opinion. Harry Kane was offside on the first one, even though there was a deflection that maybe altered how that one went. And then on the second one, though, I am not convinced that Virgil van Dijk made enough contact with Eric Lamela to warrant him falling down like he did in what ended up being a highly contentious 2-2 result, which ultimately took away from both of the magical goals scored by Wanyama and Salah, which is a shame. Good weekend, KSI and Joe Weller. First things first, I want to give it up to both of these guys for having the courage to train for months and months when no one was watching, because I know firsthand the sacrifice and focus it takes to train at a high level, and these guys both took it very seriously, and I respect that. Second, I also want to give it up to these guys for stepping into the ring when everyone was watching, because it is not easy to handle the pressure and expectations when the lights and cameras are on, and I thought they did it with humility, class, respect for each other, and for the sport. Third, just because Joe lost the fight, it does not make him a loser, and I think he has a lot to be proud of as an entertainer, and most importantly, as a person, because what he stands for, and mental health in particular, is really impressive, and I hope he continues to be a voice. And finally, I wanted to say a few words about JJ, who I've known for about 6 years now, when he was hovering around 400,000 subscribers or something, because this is a guy who, despite what you might hear or read to the contrary, or even what you see on camera at times, I know him to be an incredibly nice person with a big, giant heart. So it's been fun to sit back and watch his career blossom, specifically the part where he's had to figure out how to separate the KSI character from JJ the person and vice versa, because he's so good at what he does and he's so good at raising the game of the people around him. Sometimes I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves, and I think his motivation and drive to win this fight, to prove people wrong and to continue to try and earn that respect, is what I love about him the most, so I can't see what he comes up with next. Bad weekend. Raheem Sterling. The Manchester City striker who never saw a game-winning goal that he didn't want to score this season missed an absolute sitter in the dying minutes of City's game against Burnley that definitely would have secured all 3 points for his club, but then Burnley equalized in injury time and the game ended 1-1, which means City dropped points in the league for only the 4th time this season. 3 draws and 1 loss. Not that they really care all that much, since they have a 13-point lead, but still, come on, Raheem. You gotta bury that. Good weekend, bad weekend. Philadelphia Eagles fans. The good, for the first time in the team's history, the Eagles won the Super Bowl, so congratulations to them. The bad, the fans trashed their own city in celebration, which always seems like a weird way to celebrate. Like, yes, we did it! Now let's go light a car on fire and tear down some streetlight posts and throw some bottles at cops like it's living Grand Theft Auto. I mean, if you lost, maybe I could see the behavior as like, okay, I can't believe we lost, I'm gonna break something. But having that impulse to be violent after winning, I don't know. It just doesn't compute in my ping pong ball sized brain, especially since the people of Philadelphia will have to clean it all up. Like your own people have to clean up your own mess. It's weird. I don't get it. Good weekend, Gonzalo Higuain and James Rodriguez. Because the Real Madrid rejects both had great performances this weekend. Higuain scored a hat-trick in Juventus' 7-0 win over Sassuolo, which keeps them 1 point behind Napoli for the race for the Scudetto with 15 games to go. But let's be honest, we know they're gonna win it yet again. Sorry, Napoli fans. While James scored another great goal for Bayern Munich and their 2-0 win over Mainz on the road. Yes, say it with me. Mainz, which has earned him praise from manager Jupp Heynckes, who called James a godsend since coming over from Madrid. In fact, I wonder if Madrid would want either of these players back. And Sami Khedira, he had a great game as well, and he used to play for Madrid, since Los Blancos are having a terrible campaign. What's wrong with you guys? Bad weekend. Inter Milan. Now I know they've only lost 2 games in the league this season, but with their 1-1 draw at home versus the team Crotone, who are near the relegation zone, and this is after Inter had a 1-0 lead, it is now their 5th draw in a row, which proves that they are way too dependent on Mauro Icardi, because when he scores, they usually win, but he's only scored 3 goals in the last 2 months, so maybe Inter, I don't know, maybe you should have signed another striker in the January transfer window to help him out. This isn't rocket science. Good weekend, Atletico Madrid. After a Victor Wanyama-type strike from Angel Correa, Atleti pulled out yet another 1-0 win at home, so I'm bummed that I predicted it would be 2-0 because it's always 1-0 with these guys. Well, Diego Simeone and his men were the only team in the top 6 of La Liga to get the full 3 points, which means after Barcelona could only scrape together a scrappy 1-1 result in the heavy rain against Espanyol, who I feel like they played about 10 times over the last 2 weeks, it allowed Atleti to move within 9 points of the top, which I guess is close enough to make Barca somewhat nervous about slipping up, though I doubt it. But maybe more importantly, it allowed Atleti to create a 9-point gap over Valencia in 3rd place. But maybe even more importantly than that, it allowed Atleti to create a 10-point gap over their rivals in Madrid, Real Madrid, which currently gives Atleti bragging rights as the best club in the city. Bad weekend. Sporting Clube de Portugal. Not only did they lose 2-0 to Estoril, who were in the relegation zone before those 3 points got Estoril out of it, they had to watch Porto and Benfica both win, which means Sporting now dropped to 3rd place, which is usually where they end up at the end of the season. So we'll see how they deal with being there now. I mean, are they going to fight it out and be like, no, we're not going to get 3rd place this season, definitely at least 2nd or maybe even 1st? Or is it going to be more of a, well, here we go again, we're going to get 3rd in Portugal, yay! I guess only time will tell. Good weekend, me. Because I said Monaco would beat Lyon 3-2 at home, and after going down early 2-0, I was a little bit nervous. They came back and scored 3 goals to win 3-2. And as Maxi Doyle said in the comments, I am a genius. And I know, Maxi. I know. Good weekend, bad weekend. Cristiano Ronaldo, Carlos Tevez, and Neymar. The good, they all share the same birthday, so happy birthday, fellas. The bad, Ronaldo didn't score on his birthday, and he had to watch his team blow a late 2-1 lead against Levante to draw 2-2, which sees them drop even more points against their hated rivals Barcelona. And then Tevez finally scored in his return from China to Boca Juniors, but that wasn't enough to see his club beat San Lorenzo in their 1-1 draw. And finally, even though Neymar scored and PSG won 3-0 over Lille, Neymar probably won't win the next Ballon d'Or, which is what we all know he's chasing, unless he wins the Champions League. It's possible. And the World Cup this summer, also possible, though Messi has been on fire this season, so I feel like Neymar has to win both of those to win the award, or maybe he has to win one and then dramatically lose the final in the other. Do you guys agree with me on this? Good weekend, Luc de Jong. With much of the fanfare this season going to his PSV Eindhoven teammate Irving Lozano, who just happens to lead the Eredivisie in scoring, de Jong decided to step up and take some attention away from the young Mexican international by scoring 3 goals in their 4-0 win over 5th place PEC Zwolle. I don't know if I said that right, but I tried. And that helped keep PSV on top of the table by 7 points over Ajax. Also, I should mention that Lozano did have 2 assists, so he's still out there making plays. Also ×2, I'm really looking forward to Lozano versus Christian Pulisic for many years to come when the US plays Mexico. And we're gonna beat them after we start qualifying for World Cups again. Bad weekend, Landon Donovan. And speaking of talented American players, because I just mentioned Christian Pulisic, Landon has come out of retirement for the 2nd time to play for León in Mexico, and I probably said that about 17 times since he announced it, but since he announced it a few weeks ago, he's yet to play 1 minute. And that's probably for the best because the club is currently putting the L in León to good use after they took a big L in their 5-1 loss to Monterrey this weekend, which means you guys know what's coming. Nobody's winning! Good weekend, Melbourne City. The Australian arm of the City Football Group came back from a goal down on the road, no less, to beat my Brisbane 2-1, which was a vital 3 points for them, of course, but also vital for their confidence because they're going to need that confidence in abundance when they host league leaders Sydney FC next week, which could be the game of the year in the A-League since Sydney are running away with it again. They won it last year, in case you guys forgot. And they've got a 7 or 9 point, 10 point, it's just a really big lead at the top. 9-point lead, I think, at the top. They're like the Bayern Munich of Australia, or the Juventus of Australia, or the PSG of Australia, or Barcelona this season of Australia. I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. Bad weekend, Dele Alli. Not only was he non-existent outside of getting a yellow card for diving against Liverpool, a sex tape of him with a prostitute surfaced online after the game, and I mean, what happened to the happy waving Dele Alli? Now we got Dele Alli with his junk out, or Dele Alli flipping people off when he's got the England shirt on. I mean, the time of innocence and Dele Alli is over. It's done. And sad days. Good weekend, AEK Athens. AEK Athens, A-E-K Athens, something Athens. With some help from some questionable refereeing, and maybe John Moss referees in Greece too, Athens upset one of their rivals, Olympiacos 2-1 on the road, which helped Athens leapfrog Olympiacos in the table from 3rd to 2nd, and it now puts them only 2 points behind league leaders Thessaloniki. I think I said that right. And I'm pretty proud of myself. And finally, good weekend, bad weekend, Romelu Lukaku. The good, the big man notched the game winner to help Manchester United beat Huddersfield 2-0, which helped close the gap on City. The bad, all 12 of his goals in the Premier League have been scored on teams outside of the top 8, which is not a good stat for him or the club. You want him to show up in the biggest games, of course. And I just thought you guys would like to know that stat, especially if you don't support Manchester United. And all right, that is it. That is all I got. So be on the lookout for career mode tomorrow. Head over to warmballers.com if you want some sweet merch. Hit like and subscribe, of course. And holy crap, I forgot to name the 2 winners. One from 2 weeks ago and one from Friday. Hold, please. And you know what I'm gonna do? Because I'm feeling saucy, I'm gonna name 2 winners for this week because the sun is out and people are smiling, my hair looks fantastic, and those 2 winners are, just looked them up, Samuel Rascone and Kyle Westerndorf. And then for 2 weeks ago, what was the game? Oh yeah, I was trying to forget. It was Chelsea-Newcastle in the FA Cup, and Chelsea won 3-0, and my team sucks, by the way. Well, the 2 winners, the Warm Ballers starter kit, who correctly predicted the right score for that fixture are Duck. Yes, just Duck, who also has a killer avatar, by the way, and Kid Kiddo. So congrats to all of the winners, and please hit me up on the YouTube messages or on Twitter or Instagram at Jimmy Conrad, and I will get you sorted out as soon as possible. As for the rest of you guys, better luck next week. Later.